So hello everyone, today we'll be starting our Node.js course again, and we'll be creating a custom server for Node.js. We'll be creating a web server which I'm talking since beginning. So let's create a web server, and how can we create that with Node.js? Let's create a file in your directory first, which you can name anything. I'm just writing server.js. You can name it app.js also, app.js. So for creating a server, we need some built-in Node.js modules. We need help of those modules because generally they are not available for normal JavaScript files. We need to import that from the modules or from the global Node.js. So we'll be using those modules. For example, Node.js has many built-in modules or the core modules. For example, FS is there, OS is there, HTTP is there, which we'll be using today. There are HTTPS is there. So these are some modules. So HTTPS. Okay. So also there are some other modules. Right now I'm not able to recognize that or remember that. So the first module which we'll be using for creating a server is HTTP module. So for importing that module, you just need a variable, a constant variable, because we don't want to make any changes to that variable. We'll just be using that. So first we'll be importing. So I'm just naming it HTTP because the module is also named HTTP. So we are just using the same name. You can use require for importing the modules in Node.js. So in that you can import any file if you want. You can pass absolute or relative path. This is, for example, HTTP. The .js you can also add, but that is optional. If that is a JavaScript file, you don't need to add any extension to that. It automatically handles that. And you can also add a relative path here, just like this. So it will search for the file in this folder only, but we'll not be doing that. We just need to write HTTP because it will automatically search the module in the Node.js, not in the directory or not in the root directory. So after doing that, you just need to uh, access this object, which is HTTP. And after that, you can see that there are many fields and methods. We'll be using the method which is create server. So we'll be using that. In create server, we pass one request listener, which is a function that executes on every request which is made to this server. So whenever we'll be making that, we'll be making any request to this server or this Node.js web server, so that function will be executed. So we'll be creating that. So you can separately create a function if you want. So for example, I can write request request listener. I can write, and after that I can assign an arrow function, or simply I could create a function keyword like that, and then normal function I can create. Also in the function parentheses, you have access to request and response object. What is that? Request will be the object which contains the information made to this server, or whenever anybody sends the request to the server that contains some information, so we'll be able to access that with the help of this variable, which is rec. So generally you see rec and res there. You can name it anything, but you have to remember that first one is the request and the second one is the response. And what that response is, it is an object that not just allows us to access, and we can send the response to the user after verifying the request. So we can send the data into the response object. So this is how you do typically. So let me just write console.log. We'll be accessing this request in the later videos and understanding that in detail. So let me just write a request. Let me just console log the request only. that you'll be doing. And after that you can assign this function into this bracket of create server. You can directly assign that. So this is one way of doing that. You can create a separate function and you can assign that in here. You don't have to put any parentheses or execution because you don't want any execution here. You're just passing that function to it. So this is the way you can do that. Or other way is you can directly create an anonymous function, the same function which you created here, which is an arrow function. You can also create an anonymous function similar to this in here, or you can also directly cut this and paste it here. That is also one way. After that I can leave it as it is. If you don't want to create separate functions, so you can also do this way. So this is a bit shorter now. So after that, if I save this file and if I log out or run this file, which is NodeServer.js, so you can see that let me just run it first. You can see that nothing happens. So nothing is console log because there are no requests made to this and we don't know how the server is running. Server is not actually running, we just created the server. So for running or for continuously running the server, we just need to assign this HTTP create server, because this also gives us one object, or you can say this also gives us one object, that is an object ID. So we can assign this function to an app variable or constant, which will be able to access or run our project or our web server continuously. So now this function which we access from from HTTP module, this create server function or this method, is returning one server to and we are assigning that to this app variable or app constant. Now for constantly running our server, we just need to also access the method of this object which is returned, which is app or server or anything you want to name it. You can name it anything. So you can also access many, you can have many methods in there, but the methods we'll be using is listen. So what this method will do is it will keep listening on some particular port. So it will keep listening on this port to our request, like whatever the request made to this 3000 port, it will constantly listen to that and it will not stop that. Like a normal server is that which constantly runs and like manages our request, or so listens for our request whatever made to at particular port. So for example, we are using 3000 port. We can write any port, but make sure it is available in your computer. Mainly if you use in thousands, so that is probably available. So we can use any 1000 port here. 3000 I have used. So that server which we created now, and which server which is returned to this app variable or app constant, now listening to this port constantly. So if I run this project now, so it will not exit out of the command and it will keep listening to that. You can see that now it is not exiting and going into the new command line, new line, but it is stuck there and it is keep listening to our request if we made to this 3000 port. So how do we make a request to this port? We just access this route with the local host in our computer. By going to our browser, you can just type localhost 3000, and if I go to that, so it will keep rotating because we are not sending any response. So you can see in the console the request is logged out. You can see that request is logged out, whatever we have sent, we have access. So this is a basic server which you created now, and also it will keep rotating this wheel because we are not returning any response in here. We are just console logging the request. We are not sending any response to the user. That's why it will keep listening and keep rotating that wheel, and it will never give the response to the user. So I only wanted to tell you that how you can create a basic server in Node.js. So this is how you create a server and lessons for the request. We'll be talking about the request and response in the later videos. Till then, keep learning and thank you for watching the video.